So before we get on to what my plans were to talk about today, does anybody have anything specific that they wanted to mastermind around? No, you guys are quiet today. It is okay to unmute and participate. All right. So who's planning to do our business planning clinic on next Thursday? Awesome. Please make sure you register, okay? Because I want to be able to get you the information ahead of time so we're not wasting a bunch of time trying to get that out when we get started, okay? And there's going to be a quirky instruction in there that's going to be really important. I found out the team leader from Chino Hills, his coach is actually offering a special 45-minute how to get excited about real estate again. I think that's what it was called. That's going to be very valuable and going to go right along with what we're talking about. And so we're going to have a switch over at 11 o'clock and then a switch back. So I need to make sure you're registered so we can give you explicit instructions because next Thursday is going to be great and it's going to move really fast. And my intention is for you to leave there with a business plan or at least a really solid start on one that pertains to you all individually and specifically. Okay. All right. And the link's in the PC calendar, plus I threw it in the PC chat a little while ago. All right, so welcome. If anyone can turn their camera on, we would appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who have your cameras on, because that lets me know that you're actually here listening and participating. So if you think of something you want to talk about or questions come up as we're talking about what I'm going to discuss today, you know the drill. Feel free to participate, either unmute as it's appropriate or put questions in the chat, okay? We're going to continue our discussion on, somebody's got some background stuff. There we go. Okay, we're going to continue our discussion today in the 6 personal perspectives. We've already covered the first 3. Okay, these are really important to your business planning, which is why we've been covering them over the last few weeks. We're probably going to have time to get through a couple of them today. But one of them, number 4, is making learning-based be the foundation of your action plan. So when I say that, what does that mean to you?
Staying green.
Staying green?
Yeah, always learning, always growing.
Okay. I think of staying green as another way, but
yeah.
getting greener, no, not getting less green, right? Over
Yeah,
time.
well, I mean, if you're dying and turning brown, right? You just want to say, like I said, just plant analogy. Grass is growing.
Yes. We always want to be learning. You guys know I've been in this business many years, all close to 3 decades, and I'm still learning, right? I still learn from you guys. Once in a while, we'll get questions that we've never encountered before, even in all these years. And so it's really important. Plus, how many of you have noticed that the market has changed several times just in the last few months?
Yeah. No,
So
that's
it used to be on average, we'd have a shift about every 7 years. Now we're having them about every 7 minutes, it seems like. That's a little exaggeration. But we have to always be learning based so that we know how to work in the market. If we try to do things today like we did them 6 months ago, it's not going to work. It's really not going to work if we do things like they were done 10 years ago, right? So if we're not learning based and willing to change, we're not going to be successful. But also, there's a key to learning, right? Because we can know, right? We can know we need to do something or know how to do something. That's knowledge, right? That's knowing for knowing's sake. But what's knowing for doing's sake? What turns knowledge into wisdom?
putting it into action.
Yeah. Absolutely. If somebody wants to lose 20 pounds and they know if they change their eating habits and start moving more, they're going to do it, but they never do it, what's the use of knowing, right? The same thing in our business. If you know you have to talk to people to get business, but you're too timid to talk to people, how do you expect to survive in this business? Right? And then there's different ways to talk to people. So there's actually 4 different levels of competency. Okay, so there's the unconscious incompetence. Does anybody know what that is?
It sounds based on just what you said, like not knowing what you don't know kind of thing, just like ignorance, like you're not choosing not to know, but you just don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's you don't know what you don't know. And so sometimes people say, you have any questions? And you're like, well, I would if I knew what I was supposed to ask, right? So let's just say for the example of driving a car, if you have no idea, it can be really complicated, right? Um, Specifically a stick shift. Anybody drive a stick shift? Anybody ever drive a stick shift?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know if they make them anymore, but it was, you can use the analogy of riding a bike too, right? How many times as a kid did you get on a bike and fall down before you actually kept going or got to take the training wheels off, right? There's the old analogy, oh, it's like riding a bike. Well, same thing with when we when we don't know what we don't know, we don't know how complicated or how simple something may be, right? But then we gain a little knowledge, right? And so now this becomes conscious incompetence. So now we understand what we don't know, right? We understand that to ride a bike and not fall down, it takes balance and we have to keep moving forward. If we stop, we're going to fall, right? Or we have to put our foot down so we don't fall, right?
Mhm.
So then we move into, once we have knowledge and we start applying some of that wisdom, that becomes conscious competence, right? And so this becomes where we just know what we have to do on the bike. We do the kickstand, we get on, we get rolling, we go, and there's that, right? Or you could use the stick shift analogy too, right? You don't know what to do when you first start driving. Once you get some knowledge, you know if you push in the clutch and move the stick shift, you're going to switch gears. And yet you still might be making the car die or making it sputter, right? Because you're not quite there yet. So then we get into unconscious competence. What do you think that means?
Second nature.
Exactly. Basically, that analogy, like it's like riding a bike, you just jump on and go, right? Or that stick shift. You don't even realize in stop and go traffic that every 3 seconds you're pushing the clutch in and putting it into neutral or putting it into first, right? Because you just do it because that's just what you got to do. But it takes practice. And then you can start doing hills without having to use the emergency brake, right? Anybody ever done a hill in a stick shift?
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty tricky.
That's right.
So there's a certain flow as we learn things. And it kind of goes along with, remember last week, we talked about E to P, right? Going from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And how when we stay in that entrepreneurial and we're not willing to get uncomfortable to push through that ceiling, sometimes it's because we don't have enough knowledge. Sometimes it's because we're unsure of what to say or what to do. So then what do we need to do?
Practice.
Practice. Yeah. What's one of the tools you have to practice with?
Mega Monday.
There you go. How many are going to Mega Monday on a regular basis? One?
Not me.
Uh-oh. So unless you have another job that's stopping you, you should all be at Mega Monday. If you want this business to work, whatever your goals are, whether it's, some goals are personal, some goals are financial, everybody has different reasons they're in real estate. That doesn't matter. If you want to sell a house, you need to do the work, right? So if you don't have another job that is keeping you from being there, you should be at Mega Monday. That's where we're practicing scripts. That's where we're actually lead generating. Okay. Reaching out to the people you know, using your social media, however it is you want to do. There's no one size fits all. It's your choice, right? As they say, dealer's choice, how you want to do that. Is everyone aware outside of the PC calendar, and everybody's connected to that, I'm sure. Outside of that, your market center offers a lot of training. Outside of that, Keller Williams offers a ton of training. Have all of you ever looked on Connect, KW Connect, to see everything that's available? It's a lot. There's a ton. So feel free to do that. Schedule some time, take a few minutes and do that. But let me give you a caution with that. The reason I want you to take some time to see what's out there is because there's a lot out there that can help you and on demand. So say I'm not encouraging anybody to not sleep, right? Or do anything at a weird hour. But what if you're one of these insomniacs that is up at 2 a.m. and you want to read something? It's there, right? Not encouraging that hour, by the way. So you should be aware of what's there because there's help from other top agents. There's help for anything you could possibly want to learn, and you can search for it in the search bar on KW Connect. Okay, there's the resources, there's education tabs. Make sure that you're taking full use of that. But here's the caution. I know it was recently said, at least in the foundation coaching, to some of you, and you've heard us say this, but it bears repeating. Please don't get so involved in taking so many classes that you're not working, because that would be easy to do with everything that's offered. Your group coaching, your PC Mastermind, the contracts classes that your market centers offer, your market centers team meeting, those are the biggies, okay? Those are what you need to focus on. Now, if a class is being offered that fits your business now, that you feel if you go, you can walk away and implement one nugget, then go. If it has nothing to do with where you're at in your business, it just sounds cool, like, oh, I should probably know that someday, but you're not going to walk away and implement anything, don't go. That's not the best use of your time. Okay. We don't want all of you going to so many things that you're not working. And right. And that's why Mega Monday's there. Mega Monday's not a class, guys. It's working time with some time to practice your conversations. Okay. Any questions about the different tools and things that is offered to you through PC, through the Market Center, through Keller Williams? No, everybody's good on that? Okay. One of the things I will encourage you to put on your business plan this year, if you've not done it yet, and even if you have, because it's really something good to read at least once a year, is to read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Okay. I'm sure most people have it. If you don't want to buy one, you can borrow one. They're very cheap on Amazon. Your team leader might even have one to give you if you ask the right questions. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is phenomenal. It's 30 years old, 30-ish years old, right? And even though we change some of how we do things because we change with the times, the basic principles always remain the same and don't change. Mm-hmm. And that's the type of thinking we need to have. And so we coach a lot to what's in there. So please make that part of your reading. Something else we're going to do a lot of coaching on over the next year is The One Thing, the book, The One Thing. Has anybody read that?
Yep. It's awesome.
So share a couple takeaways from that. What did you get out of that, or what's aha you can remember, even if it's been a while?
You know, it was actually used, like one of the agents in the office with me was when I was going through some issues in the office, you know, I was leaving and not in the best of moods because of personal things that were going on. And he stopped me and he goes, "Wait, what's the one thing you can do right now to change everything, to help the business, help your business?" And I started talking about, well, I've got to get this ready. And he stopped me. He goes, "No." He goes, "Right now, what's the one thing that you can do?" And I go, "Well, I guess I could, you know, I could go work in and get ready to do." And he goes, "No, right now." He goes, and then he goes, "Can you go in the office right now and make 5 to 10 calls before you go home the next half hour?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do that." So I went back in the office and got 8 calls in and got 2 appointments. And I come out of there, you know, chicken chest and then feeling great and everything out of the way and stuff. And he just says, "That's it right there." So at that one point in time, what's the one thing that you can do? And you can break it down. I mean, it's an awesome book. To where, I mean, you break it down and stay in the moment type deal, and it just, you piece it out, and everything falls into place. So it's a really great book. Both of those are on audiobooks as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. A couple others had their hands up that they read it. What were your ahas from it?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Justin.
Yes, so can you hear me pretty good?
Yep.
Yeah, the one thing for me that I always remember is they would talk about multitasking. Gary Keller said that multitasking was a lie. So we have maybe 5 things we need to do, and we're like trying to do all 5. And so the key is do one thing first. And he also mentions how you should spend a lot of hours planning. You want to plan, I think the concept was you want to spend 4 hours planning and like 2 hours in action or something like that. Like it was a lot of time in planning and reviewing, and then coming back and checking the plan and reviewing what you actually did. And yes, focusing on action, but always going back and reviewing how you were doing things.
Yeah, thank you
That's
for
what I
sharing.
found.
And just to clarify a little on that planning, it's not like 4 hours a day of planning to do 2 hours of work, right? There's probably about 20, 30 minutes a day that goes into planning. And sometimes we're spending longer periods when we're doing our business planning or quarterly planning, those types of things.
I think in the book he specifically says 4 hours for the week. So
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make more sense.
Yeah.
Just didn't want anybody to think that it's 4 hours a day and only 2 hours a day of work, because that would like turn things upside down, right? Thank you for sharing. Michelle, you said you read it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's encouraging because of the nature of real estate for any new agent, that there's so many things pulling at you and things that you have to do, and you're not really sure what direction to go in. And so it's just that reminder of focusing in on one thing and let that be your thing and watch your business grow, and just prioritizing what's important, which you guys preach to constantly: lead generation, and knowing what works for you and where those leads come from, and let that be your focus instead of feeling like you have to be pulled in 90 different directions. And even with all that, and I think the material is great, I am definitely in a funk this week. So
Oh no.
I took a vacation for a week and just trying to get back in the game. I am on slow mode. Like, where's it going? Want to see some benefit. It's a challenge. And I think that's the nature of real estate. So
It is a
there's my
challenge.
truth.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
It is a challenge. And so, Michelle, why do you think it's difficult to get back into it this week?
I think the market is definitely changing, and there's a lot of things outside of the market that the whole world is kind of questioning of what's going on in our world. And I think people are very hesitant to make any decisions in any directions right now. There's a lot of uncertainty out there that I'm exposed to. And so, yeah, I just think that it kind of makes everyone pause a little bit. I'm still working with buyers. I can see it in their reactions of kind of slowing down a little bit as well. And yeah, I just think that, what you're around, it all affects you, and just trying to find that motivation to press forward and
Yeah.
keep focused. So, yeah.
And it comes down to conversations, right? Because the truth is just what you said, Michelle, there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of uncertainty for a lot of people. The market's ever changing right now. And there's still lots of people out there that have to do real estate business. They have to buy houses. They have to sell houses because their circumstances dictate that. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world, right? So we just have to keep having those conversations to help us find those people. And the truth is, right now, we have to have more conversations than we used to have, right? That's why we have our focus group that we're putting together. And I want to remind everybody here, it'll be mentioned again in your group coaching. Anybody that really wants to make this work, we want to put together a focus group. And I want to make sure everybody understands why we're doing this. First of all, because it sounds like a lot of work, and it is, not going to lie. It's 100 calls a week, or conversations, right? 100 conversations a week. Doesn't matter where you have them. I don't care if it's open houses, phone calls, door knocking, SOI. It doesn't matter. It's just 100 conversations a week, real estate conversations, right? It's 2 appointments a week. It's, one listing appointment, 1 buyer appointment, or 2 practice appointments, the combination of, right? If you're not getting regular appointments. So there's no reason not to hit the appointment goal, right? And it's coming to PC Mastermind every week. We're going to break things down. We're going to talk about that. Here's why we're doing it. It's starting November 2nd. It runs through January 31st. We want you to understand, to have business, it's going to take more work right now. Now, I know some of you don't have to do this to make a living, and some of you are going to have different goals and different things, and that's okay. Okay, so please understand that as I'm talking about this. It's not that you may have to have 100 conversations every time or every week forever. And maybe we don't know what the market's going to bring, right? But what we want people to do is establish the habits, right? Establish the habits. And then if it turns out you can have 75 conversations or 50 or 25 and still reach your goals, great. But we want you to establish the habits. And here's the key. We're doing this right through the holidays. And I'm certain that many of you are going to take a few days off between all the holidays, right? Still 100 conversations a week. So if you're going to take a week off in there, where are you going to put those missing conversations for those days, right? And the point of that is to get you in the habit of, you can take 6 months off a year if you want to. But if you have to have X number of conversations to make your goals, where are you going to space them out, right? So here's the thing. Not only is it going to help you in your business if you're a part of this focus group, it's also intended for your peers to be helped. Because there's a lot of people, and you may be one of them and you may not be, right? There's a lot of people that feel like, oh, that's great. They always talk about this. It's just not going to work for me. They read the MREA book. We talk about all the successful agents out there that have been doing business for years and they're rocking it, right? But I just started. I can't do this. If we have enough people do this and prove that it can be done, that do this consistently without excuses, you get to help your peers understand this can be done, right? And they get to relate to people just like them, people starting out in real estate, being in the business just a few years or brand new, not just reading an experience in the MRA book because that was picked because they're one of the top 100 in the nation, right? So that we're doing it twofold, to help each of you individually and to help you help your peers. So that's the purpose of this, okay? So if you want to be a part of this, please email PC Ask a Coach, because we want to make sure that we have everybody start off on the right foot. So I hope people want to participate, because I hope you want to help your own business. and help others too. Okay. That's part of that staying learning based. And also removing some of those limiting beliefs that we're going to talk about in a minute. I do want to say one thing about the one thing. And then if anybody has anything else to add before we move on, one thing that I really like about it, and not everybody gets, it sounds like those of you that shared get this, but it's not just about only ever doing one thing. It's about doing one thing at a time and prioritizing, right? Like in the mornings, doing that one thing that if you don't do it in the morning, like your lead generation, it's just not going to get done. Your business isn't going to move forward, right? So in the afternoon, maybe you're working on a project. Maybe you're working on your listing presentation. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Maybe it's a personal thing you're working on with your kids or whatever. What's the one thing during that time block that is the most important thing, right? So it's not just there's only ever one thing we're doing. Obviously, we've got a lot of things that we're doing. Okay. So the next six of the 6 personal perspectives is number 5. And this is a biggie. And I actually love talking about this. And if one person can be helped in this conversation today, I consider that a win. You'll hear us talk about this often. This is actually one of the key things we talk about productivity coaching helps you with. And that is removing limiting beliefs. We all have them. Even I've had them. Sometimes I still get them and I have to work to get rid of them, right? There's a lot of things I've had limiting beliefs around. And then when I think about it and mastermind with others, I'm able to remove them and move things forward. None of us are immune to them. The power comes in recognizing what of our thinking is holding us back and figuring out how we can turn that thinking around to help move us forward, right? So oftentimes people will say, well, I can't be successful in this market. Any of you thinking that? Or maybe you're not saying I can't, but it's hard. It's going to be hard to have business in this market. When really, a shifting market is the very best opportunity for gaining market share. Did you know that agents are leaving this business pretty much in droves right now?
Droves.
That is your golden opportunity. I hear all the time, oh, there's no listings out there. The inventory's low. I can't find anything for my buyer. Okay. But when you log on to the MLS every morning, how many new listings popped up? Several. Maybe not as many as 3 years ago, but still several, right? Well, how come one of them isn't yours? Are we talking to enough people? They could just as easily be yours. So as long as there's still listings happening, there's still business out there to be had. And so take advantage of the fact that most agents, even that are staying in the business, are paying their dues. Every year they're forking out the money. But they're choosing to live in the limiting belief that the market sucks. And so why try? So capitalize literally on that opportunity, because it's a huge opportunity for you guys not to have that limited thinking and to go out there and get your unfair share, because there's plenty of business out there to be had. So let me ask you guys, somebody who's willing to share, what is a limiting belief that you currently have that's holding you back, or have had and are working on getting rid of, or have been successful even at getting rid of it?
I can share.
Okay.
So I joined the Jodi Jolly Coaching when I joined KW in February. And through my existing businesses, I thought, well, I can make more money here. I'll just wait. I'll find the agent till later. And then yesterday I jumped on a call with Jodi and I mentioned I had, and I didn't even know this, I had 2,700 contacts on my phone. And she said, well, did you know that equals to $168,000? And I was like, whoa, no, I didn't. So it's like, bam, she sold me. And I was like, okay, how hard can this be? And it's like, bam, that limiting belief went away. I scheduled a Thursday mastermind and the other stuff she mentioned, and now it's on the calendar. And it was like, maybe if I would have jumped on the one-on-one with her, and back then, you know what I mean, I would have been that further along. But maybe things happen for a reason. So that's my
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And actually, that is, let me make a little adjustment to that, Justin, because this is going to make you feel even better. It's not 168,000. It was I believe it was 163 commission opportunities. Now multiply that by your average gross commission, you're looking at almost $1.5 million. But remember, that doesn't come overnight. That comes with 1, 2, 3 years of consistently working your database the way you're supposed to. And most agents will work it for 2, 3, 4 months. Oh, I already talked to them. And then they quit doing it. And then nothing ever happens. You must be consistent. And the way we came up with those numbers, if anybody's curious, statistically speaking, when you work your database on a regular, consistent basis, a minimum of 36 touches a year, somehow, some way, 6% of your database will give you a commission opportunity. And the reason I say commission opportunity is because it doesn't mean that 6% of your database specifically is going to do business with you. Some of them might, and some of them might refer you business, right? So it's coming from your database one way or another. But that comes from consistent work. It doesn't come overnight. It's not just, oh, cool, I have 2,700 contacts. I'm going to make $1.5 million this year. Okay, we got to put the work in. And we're here to help you do that. We're here to help you figure that work out, what works for you, and hold you accountable to what you want and need to be held accountable to, right? So one thing I want everybody to understand, because I know that everybody that's on this call has different circumstances. Some of you don't need real estate. Some of you do. Some of you have big goals. Some of your goals are smaller. There's no right or wrong at all. What we want to do is have you each individually figure out what is your goal. Why are you doing this, right? A lot of times why we're doing this has nothing to do with money. And sometimes it does for some people. But sometimes what we want to do is helping others or doing something, right? But the cold, hard reality in this world is a lot of times what we want to do takes money, even if we're not in it to get rich, right? It's still those things we want to do take money. So what kind of money do those things take that we need to make so we can do whatever help it is that we want to do? For some people, maybe it's a nonprofit. For some people, it's helping the, okay, I've just recently learned, are we supposed to say homeless or are we housing challenged now? Change it. We're always changing how we refer to things. You know, there's so many great things people want to do, and it's not to benefit themselves because it makes them feel good and they benefit from helping others, right? And then sometimes some people just have great big financial goals, and that's okay too. But regardless of what they are, we have to have a plan to get there. And so that's why we've been having these conversations these last few weeks, and we will culminate with our business planning clinic next week. And that's not something that we're gonna, I don't know if it'll be recorded or not. It's not something that I intend to release because that's not something you're going to benefit without being there live to hear, to interact, and to, even if you don't have a question, other people will, and questions will be answered, right? So that's something you're going to need to be there live to benefit from. Thank you, Justin, for sharing that. And I love, love, love that you have that openness to grow and to learn. And that all fits in with what we're talking about today. Excited to have you with us regularly. So who else has a limiting belief that's holding them back that they would like some help around? And if you're willing to speak up, you might actually be helping somebody else on this call or who's watching this video. No one has a limiting belief.
I've kind of already shared mine, so I just don't want to be the
Yeah.
one dominating the conversation.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, I mean, if anyone else wants to speak up, and if not, yeah, I kind of already threw it out there where I'm at right now. But I also see the limited belief too. I don't think it's, I mean, I can go out there and start door knocking and get rallied up again and excited, but I feel like every step of real estate for me has been all about mindset, and just figuring out my why is really kind of where I'm at right now. So
yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that next week at our business planning clinic. And I know that a lot of the material that we have talks about what is your big why, right? And there's so much about that. And we should have a why. We should have what gets us out of bed in the morning, what makes us tick, what drives us to do things when we otherwise would say, no, I don't feel like doing it, right? We should have a why. But here's something that I want everybody to understand. You'll hear a lot in Keller Williams, particularly talking about what's your big why? What's this big, massive thing you want to accomplish? And maybe you have one and maybe you don't, right? Maybe you have a big enough why that you just want to have happen by the end of a year from now. Maybe you have a huge big why 20 years from now, or however long when you retire, because you want to retire with a certain lifestyle, being able to do a certain thing with family, with, provide whatever, right? Does that mean we're going to go out this next year in 2024 and make that happen next year? No, but that's a someday goal that we're going to work on. What piece of that, how much of that do we want to work on this year? Right? Because if we want to retire in X number of years, who wouldn't love to retire and not worry about paying their bills? Right? Having residual income that's going to pay their bills so they can live the life they want and do everything that they want to do that most of us really want to do now, and our hands are tied. Or we do what we want to do, but maybe not to the extent that we want to, because some of us have to work, right? So there is no right or wrong with any of that. It's what makes you tick.
So Jodi,
I'm
sorry. I just thought of something that keeps raising its angry head. It's like the two agents in my area that are really established and keep marketing, and like he's having an open house or garage sales in the neighborhoods this weekend, et cetera, et cetera. And I go through it periodically. Well, I can't compete with these guys, and it kind of, like, oh well, he's got the area, this and that, and then I'll go rally up again and start talking to people again, so it just kind of keeps raising its angry head a little bit that I'm not established and I'm not out there as much as these guys, so I can't do as much or produce as much as they do, things like that.
Well, maybe not today.
Yeah.
But so what can we do today that's going to help get you there in a certain amount of time? Right?
Yeah. So I just like maybe just I'm biting off a little bit of the area at a time, so to speak. Just kind of nipping.
So I something cut out for me for a second. So is this an area that they are in that you want to get into, or you're just seeing their success and you want to achieve their success? What?
Well, it's I'm where I live, Foothill Ranch, Lake Forest area, and I want to market this area, and, they've been here for 20 years, and it's like, so they've got donuts on Friday down here at the elementary school. not open houses, but garage sales every 3 months. He's got all his things that he does every month.
So why don't you take donuts to the school on Monday?
Yeah.
There's no law that says you can't do some of the same stuff.
Uh-huh.
So here's the thing. Don't let, just because somebody else is doing it,
Mhm.
don't let that hold you back. I have two quick stories. Okay. Some of you have heard one, and so I'll make it a little shorter because some of you may not have heard this. But there is an agent in our company. He's an agent. He's a team. He's one of Gary's top 100. He owns market centers. He's probably a billionaire. I don't know that for a fact, but I think so. And at 2 times in his life, he's lost everything. And one of them due to a hurricane. Literally lost everything. Lost his business, lost his pending, it lost everything that was pending, lost everything, literally went away with a hurricane. Okay. And he rebuilt. And he's very successful. And it was that experience with him in the hurricane why he went about doing things differently to make sure that if that happened again, he would be financially set. It wouldn't matter that all that went away. And because he is somebody who not only wants to provide his wife and himself with a nice life, he has 4 kids. He wanted to put his 4 kids through college. He wants to be able to go on family vacations and not matter if their kids can afford to join them, he's going to take them, and grandkids, right? So this was his why. He wanted, it was for his family. He never wanted to not be able to do something because one part of his family couldn't afford to join them. Okay. So that's really where that came from and what drove him. However, when he very, very first started in real estate, he made the decision. He quit his other job. His wife quit her job. They decided to get into real estate. They gave him a certain amount of time to succeed, or they were going to have to go back to these jobs that they hated. And so he went into this area. He marketed to he had his first listing appointment in a gated community in Florida, where this area was already tied up with a red bow by a certain very successful luxury agent. He went to that listing appointment, thought he was prepared up one side and down the other, and anything that got thrown at him, he was fine. Except for, how many houses have you sold? And you know what? He was just super honest. And he said, you know what? If you list with me, you're going to be my first house. Here's why I got into real estate. Here's what we're doing. This is our time limit. So while I know so-and-so has done, all the business in this area, here's what I can promise you. I am not going to fail at this. I can't. I'm not going back to do something I don't want to do. So I'm going to work harder for you than anybody will. That seller gave him 30 days. He sold it, and that started his real estate career. So don't let limiting beliefs, because somebody's already in there and somebody's already doing it, that you can't get a footing in there. There's room for more. And also, don't let the fact that you're newer and haven't done things yet, some of you, hold you back. Be honest, right? Because that's us being human, us being honest. That's how we make things happen. When you go in and try to be somebody you're not, that's when it shows and people don't want to work with you. So I tell that story because it really pertains to this, right? The other story that I will tell real quickly, and I don't want to talk too much, I want to hear you guys, but there is an agent in Tulare County, where I'm from. When I started in this business 26 years ago, she was the top agent, #1 agent. We all teased that she was going to go to the grave with a contract in her hand. And she's basically retired now. She's in her 80s. And I mean, no one could hold a candle to her. I think the person that was like #2 was a couple million or more difference in to even touch her. It was crazy. And you have to understand, in Tulare County, back then, that was a ton because the average price of a house was under $100,000 at the time. Okay. So, and she started this as a second career after she had retired from her gas company career of 20 years. Keller Williams came to town in 2012. Keller Williams came to town with their models and their systems and recruited lots of agents and taught them their models and their systems. And quickly, she was no longer the number one agent. Everybody knew her by a first name. Everybody, if you mentioned real estate, everybody knew who she was. Everybody almost assumed they were going to go with her. It was crazy. But Keller Williams came to town and models and systems were followed, and she was no longer the number one agent. Not that she was still not a great agent. She had plenty of business. But it doesn't matter. Apply the models, the systems, do the work. You can do it too. So two different variations of a similar story, right? That's why I wanted to share that, because don't let those things hold you back. But thank you for sharing. Any other limiting beliefs that might be holding you back that we can talk about, give you a different way to look at it?
I'd say my limiting belief is just like that I don't have someone to call. I didn't like grow up in the area, and this is where I'm trying to sell the houses. So sometimes I feel like, oh, but like such a disadvantage to like not have family, not have a lot of people that I know here. But I know that I can still be successful, and that there's so many ways to make those connections. And there are people that I have connections with that I just have to make those connections a little bit deeper. So that's where I'm at, still trying to overcome that limiting belief. But I think recognizing it is important.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, Haley. And I'm glad that you also shared your recognizing ways to overcome it, right? Because the ones that you do have connections with, find out who they know, right? Extend those connections. Use social media. Don't hesitate to connect with the people from where you were from, because referrals exist, right? So do open houses, do networking events, find ways to meet as many people as possible, and it will happen. So the key, guys, is you want to have a minimum, an absolute minimum of 201 people in your database. Do you know why? Statistics prove, they have done statistics in command. Keller Williams has, that those who have at least 201 people in their database are typically making six figures in real estate. Now, they're also regular reaching out to them, right? And doing the 36 touch and not neglecting their database. So got to throw that caveat in there. So once you get to over 200, you really have a viable business. That's why we're on you. Add 10 a day, 10 a day, 10 a day, get to that, right? And then think about this. Here's a number that may be shocking. If I were to say, over the next week, I want you to go meet one new person every day, get their contact information and put them in command, have a conversation. Could you do that with one person a day?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty easy. A lot easier than, oh my gosh, you want 10 a day? Are you kidding me? One a day? Could you do that? Okay, guess what? If you do that, one a day, 5 days a week for 50 weeks a year, that's 2 weeks off from doing it, you will add 250 people to your database at the end of a year. That's just one a day. One a day doesn't sound so hard, does it? Now, you want to get there a little faster than a whole year, I'm sure. So how can you add more than that? It's doing those activities we talked about, right? But even so, we never stop adding one a day. So once you've hit your limit on your sphere, whatever number that is, even if you're not up, one a day, you're going to get there. Okay. Any thoughts, questions, comments, ahas before we go?
I have one too.
Okay,
How do I find out about Mega Monday?
it's
And
in the
then the-
PC calendar.
Oh, PC calendar? Okay.
Yep. So the link, it's at 8:45 Monday mornings to 11:15, and the link to join is in the calendar.
8:45 to 11?
11:15. Anything
it's-
we do for the productivity coaching is in that PC calendar.
Okay.
Yay, we'll see you on Monday then. Awesome. All right, any other thoughts, questions, comments, ahas? All righty then. I'm gonna give you 7 minutes back in your day. Go make good use of them. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody.